Hello, good morning, or whenever it is you're watching this. I want to talk today a little bit about following up on how to read the Bible and how to approach it and different genres and so forth. And I'm going to talk a little bit about science and religion. One of the major stumbling blocks, I think, in reading the Bible meaningfully is created by confusion about what the Bible really is. And what I've been trying to make clear over the last few weeks is that it's not one thing, as you've seen in the videos you've watched, and we've talked about its numerous different things. The Bible is, and it needs to be read or approached in numerous different ways. Really, um, it's a collection of writings, as we've looked at and discussed, that were written over a thousand-year period of time by many different people, writing in different circumstances, in different places, different times. It's also a collection of differing genres of writing, and that's part of the point today, different genres of writing. I believe one of the videos I asked you to look at talked about different genres or styles of writing. And there is in the Bible history, law, theology, poetry, wisdom sayings, parables, as well as mythology, hero stories, legends, and there's fictional satire, and of course there's letters in the New Testament, letters of Paul, and the visionary writings of John at the end. So there's many different genres of writing, and it has to be looked at in different ways. And it may be helpful to think of a newspaper. A newspaper, our contemporary newspapers have news stories, they have personal essays, they have comics, they have advice columns, editorial essays, political opinion pieces, letters from readers. So it's important to not read a letter from a reader, for example, as if it's a factual news report. Of course, you should not read a political opinion from some expert analyst the same way that you would read a news story or an advice column or what have you. And in fact, it's important to know what the expert's political views are in order to know how to read or how to approach their commentary or their analysis. Anyway, all this means that reading the Bible is generally a bit more work and takes a bit more practice than most people tend to assume, and that most people are willing to put in, really. But let's assume you're not going to study all the genres of the Bible and outline them and study strategies for reading each of those genres carefully. That happens in seminary. When people go to seminary, they can study those things. But we're not going to do that in this class, and you're not going to be doing that each time before you read your Bible. You're going to go there to read for inspiration or for learning about the faith, about God, about the history of our faith. But there's one important distinction that I think just needs to be made very clearly throughout the Bible, which is that it contains no scientific writing. No scientific writing. Science is a modern human development, modern culture, modern way of thinking. And this is fundamentally important because the biblical writers were not scientific thinkers, and we are. We are, all of us, modern scientific thinkers, even if we're not trained scientists. For example, if I say it's raining outside, you will assume, and I assume, that I've made a statement that can be proven or disproven. And I've made that statement because I feel it can be proven, because I feel I have adequate evidence to establish that the statement is true. Maybe I'm just trusting my eyes. I saw it, or what have you. And we assume that you could examine the situation for yourself. You could go look out the window, or if you're not where I am, if we're online, you could look it up online if you're in a different place and verify for yourself that my statement is true, that it's raining in Boston, New York right now. But further, we also both assume that there are causes for rain that can be rationally explained. We know a little bit about cloud formations and evaporation and condensation, even if we're not scientists. If we had some science classes in school, we learn about some of those basic things. Perhaps living in this area, we even know something about the way large lakes can affect weather patterns and so forth. This is all scientific thinking. And in the Bible, there is none of that. The Bible was all written at least 1,000 years, much more than that, before there was even any inkling of scientific-like thought among human cultures. So the Bible's not science. It is thoroughly religious. It's kind of sensible, right? The Bible is thoroughly religious, and it is religious writing by religious thinkers. So there's the big difference. They are religious thinkers, and we are scientific thinkers. Now, we're religious people too, and in some sense, we're religious thinkers too, but in general, we are not nearly as religious as we think, and we are much more influenced by scientific thought than we think. If I say, for example, God is in this room, it's not the same as my statement about the rain, right? And you and I can understand that. We're somewhat bilingual, so to speak. We can understand, we can speak science and religion in some degree. And we know that the assumption in the statement God is in this room is not that you could look and verify for yourself scientifically that God is here. Rather, it's a different kind of statement. It's a statement of belief, a statement of religious feeling. Really, I would say it's a statement of religious knowledge. It's something I know, and perhaps you know, and we share together in our religious knowledge that God is here in some sense. But we are, as I said, fundamentally scientific thinkers, and we kind of have to work to learn religion and learn religious thought, to think religiously. It's an understanding that you and I might share about God being here, but partly because we went to Sunday school, we listened to sermons, we've gone to church, we've been around Christian people, we maybe have read our Bible, and so forth, and we come to that kind of understanding. In any case, the biblical writers were religious thinkers in a religious culture with no concept of science. To them, my statement about the rain would be in the same basic category as my statement about God being present in the room. The rain came down because God opened a window in the heavens to let some of the heavenly waters through to water the earth. And really, of course, we know that even if we close our eyes, even without stepping out of our tent in ancient Israel, we can know darn well it's raining outside without seeing it, without feeling it, and we know that God has sent it. So similarly, without seeing God, even if you don't sense God's presence, you and I both know it's true that God is here. For the ancient religious thinkers, they're really kind of the same category. There's no distinction of science and religious thought. There's just religious thought. Bottom line, the Bible's not science. And the creation stories are not scientific, factual explanations about the origins of the world and life on the planet. They are religious stories about religious realities. And yes, you might say they're not literally true. I am saying that. They're not literally true. But notice this. When we say something is not literally true, we actually do not mean literal. We actually mean scientifically. To say something's not literally true is to say it's not scientifically verifiable, and in fact, maybe even can be disproven by science. Literarily, in terms of literature and literary genres, a myth can be literally true. It is truly, literarily a myth. And if it's true to its genre and true to prevailing patterns and meanings in its context, then it's a true myth. So again, we're delineating around science when we talk about things as literally true or not literally true. The ancient religious writers had no concept of not literally true because they had no concept of not scientifically true because they had no concept of science. So it's important in reading throughout the Bible, Old and New Testament. These are not scientific thinkers, and they have no sense of delineating between religion and science. They are religious thinkers. They're thinking religiously and writing with religious meanings. And when we read the Bible, we need to read for and look for the religious meanings, not the scientific meanings, because it's not science. And we are scientific thinkers, like it or not. So I hope you have some questions about that. I hope you'll send me some questions about that. In fact, I would like to hear from anyone who has viewed this and what your thoughts might be about it. Without getting feedback, I have no idea what you're thinking. In fact, I have no idea if anyone is viewing these. So please do contact me. Thanks. Have a good day. May God bless us all.